Chapter 2, Part G of Greener Than You Think. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Greener Than You Think by Ward Moore. Chapter 2, Part G. For some reason, the committee was not attempting to get the story of the grass in chronological order. When I arrived, the 6 distinguished gentlemen were trying to find out all about the crude oil poured, apparently without effect, in what now seems so long ago, but which actually had been less than 2 weeks before. Flanked on either side by his colleagues, the little black plug of his hearing aid sticking out like a misplaced unicorn's horn, was the chairman, Senator Jones, his loose-skinned old fingers resting lightly on the bright table, the nails square and ridged, the flesh brown-spotted. He adjusted a pair of gold-rimmed spectacles, quickly found the improvement in his vision unpleasant, and rumbled, "What did it cost the taxpayers?" On the stand, the chief of police was settled in great discomfort, so far forward on the rounded edge of his chair that his balance was a source of fascinated speculation to the gallery. He squirmed a perilous half-inch forward, but before he had time to reply, old Judge Robinson of the State Supreme Court, who scorned any palliation of his deafness, such as Senator Jones condescended to, cupped his left ear with his hand and shrieked, "Eh? Eh? What's that? Speak up, can't you? Don't sit there mumbling!" Assemblyman Brown, head of the legislature's anti-racketeering committee, intense concentration expressed in the forward push of his vigorous shoulders and the creased lines on his youthful forehead, asked if it were not true that the oil had been held up by a union jurisdictional dispute. There was a spattering of applause from the listeners at this adroit question, and one man in the back of the room cried, "Shame!" and then sat down quickly. Attorney General Smith wanted to know just who had ordered the oil in the first place, and whether the property owners had given their consent to its application. The Attorney General's square face, softened and rounded by fat, shone on the wriggling chief like a Klieg light. His lips, irresistibly suggesting twin slices of underdone steak, parting into a pleasant smile when his question had concluded. The other 2 members of the committee seemed about to inquire further, when the chief managed to stammer he was awfully sorry, gentlemen, but he had been out of town and hadn't even heard of the oil till this moment. He was instantly dismissed from the stand, and a new witness from the mayor's office was called, with no happier results. He, too, was about to be excused, when Dr. Johnson, who represented science on the committee, descended from Himalayan abstraction to demand what effect the oil had had on the grass. There were excited whisperings and craning of feminine heads as Dr. Johnson propounded his question. The interest he excited was, however, largely vicarious, for he was famous, not so much in his own right, as in being the husband of the Intelligencer's widely read society columnist, whose malapropisms caused more wry enjoyment and fearsome anticipation than an elopement to Nevada. "And what effect did the oil have on the grass?" he repeated. The query caused confusion, for it seemed the committee could not proceed until this fact had been ascertained. Various technicians were sent for, and the doctor, tall, solemn, and benign, looked over his stiff, turned-down collar and the black string tie drooping around it, as though searching for some profound truth which would be readily apparent to him alone. The experts discoursed at some length in esoteric terms, one even bringing a portable blackboard on which he demonstrated, with diagrams, the chemical, geologic, and mathematical aspects of the problem, but no pertinent information was forthcoming till some minor clerk in the Department of Water and Power, who had only got to the stand through a confusion of names, said boldly, "No effect whatever." "Why not?" asked Judge Robinson. "Was the oil adulterated? Speak up! Speak up! Don't mumble!" Henry Miller, the Southland's best-known realtor, Los Angeles' first in population by 1999, who had connections in the oil industry, as well as in citrus and walnut packing, frowned disapprovingly. The clerk said he didn't know, but he might venture a guess. Senator Jones informed him majestically that the committee was concerned with facts, not speculations. This created an impasse until Attorney General Smith tactfully suggested the clerk might be permitted to guess entirely off the record. After the official stenographer had been commanded sternly not to take down a single word of conjecture, the witness was allowed to advance the opinion that the oil hadn't killed the plant because it had never reached the roots. "Eh?" questioned the learned judge, looking as though neither his lunch nor breakfast, nor, for that matter, any nourishment absorbed since the Taft administration had agreed with him. "I'm a bit of a gardener myself, gentlemen," the witness assured them confidentially, settling back comfortably. "I putter around my own place Saturdays and Sundays, and I know what devil grass is like. I can well imagine a bunch of it 20 or 25 feet high could be coated with many, many gallons of oil without a drop seeping down into the ground." Mr. Miller said, magisterially, "Not really good American oil." But no one paid attention, knowing that he was commenting not as a member of the committee, but in his other capacity as the head of an organization to promote brotherhood and democracy by deporting all foreign-born and the descendants of foreign-born to their original countries. Everyone was only too happy to have the oil matter concluded at any cost, and after the stenographer was ordered to resume his labors, the next witness was called. "Albert Weiner." I hope I may never again have to submit to the scrutiny of 12 such merciless eyes. I cast my own down at the brown linoleum until every stain and ink spot was impressed ineradicably on my mind. Senator Jones finally broke the tension by asking, "What is your name?" Judge Robinson enjoined, speak up, don't mumble." "Albert Weiner," I replied. There was a faint sigh through the room. Everyone who read the Daily Intelligencer had heard of me. "And what is your occupation, Mr. Weiner?" asked Henry Miller. "Salesman, sir," I answered automatically, forgetting my present connection with the newspaper, and he smiled at me sympathetically. "You belong to a so-called trades union?" inquired Assemblyman Brown. I will ask the Honorable Mr. Brown to modify his question by having the word so-called struck from it. "I will inform the Honorable Attorney General that my question stands exactly as I phrased it," rejoined Assemblyman Brown sharply. "I remind the Attorney General I myself am a member in good standing of a legitimate union, namely the International Brotherhood of Embalmers, Morticians, Grave Diggers, and Helpers, and when I asked the witness if he belonged to a so-called trades union, I was referring to any one of those groups of rigged conspirators who attempt to strangle the economic body by interfering with the normal course of business and mulcting honest citizens of tributary dues before they can pursue their livelihoods." Judge Robinson cupped his ear again and glared at me. "Speak up, man! Stop mumbling!" "I don't belong to any union," I answered as soon as there was a chance for my words to be heard. Senator Jones took a notebook from his pocket, consulted it, put it back, scribbled something on the pad in front of him, tore it up, looked at his notebook again, and asked, "What is your connection with this, grass?" "I applied Miss Frances's metamorphizer to it, sir," I answered. "Nonsense!" said Judge Robinson sharply. "Explain yourself," demanded Attorney General Smith. "Tell us just what this stuff is and how you applied it," suggested Henry Miller. "Don't mumble!" ordered Judge Robinson. "I'm sorry, gentlemen, I don't know exactly what it is. You'll have to ask Miss Frances that, but—" Senator Jones interrupted me. "You mean to say you applied a chemical to someone's lawn, a piece of valuable property, without knowing its contents?" he asked sternly. "Well, Senator," I began, "do you habitually act in this irresponsible manner?" "Senator, Don't you understand, sir, that consequences necessarily follow actions? What sort of world would this be if everyone rushed around blindly using things of whose nature they were completely unaware?" "Don't mumble!" warned Judge Robinson. I began to feel very low indeed, and could only say haltingly, "I acted in good faith, gentlemen. When Mr. Miller kindly recommended that I be excused, since I had evidently given all the information at my command